Hi, everybody.
Hello. How many do we have for today?
I think we have about 10.
Okay, good.
Yeah. And I know a few just signed up a few minutes ago, so that's a good sign.
I have been working outside on our patio so that to give us more social distancing, and hot mess here. It's all good.
What's your temperature today?
85.
Oh, wow. Oh, we're hotter than you today. We're like,
really?
Yeah, we're like a good balmy 95, like 94, 95, somewhere in there. Yeah.
Are you kidding? Wow.
We went straight from like 2 days of awesome spring to like locust and 95-degree weather.
I think that we're supposed to be in the 90s the rest of the week.
Oh, goodness.
We're supposed to have rain tomorrow, just what we don't need. So our temperatures have come down.
Oh,
but
boy.
Friday and Saturday and Sunday will be in the 90s, of course, when we're still having outdoor weddings here. So
right,
yay.
Exactly. At least we're having them, right? At least they're happening.
Yeah. You know, business is good down here. I was just listening to our governor does an updated conference every day at 1:30 to give us the new COVID count, et cetera. And he said that in May, our sales tax collections were only down 3%.
Wow.
And they had, isn't that crazy?
Considering that's really great. I mean, my goodness.
Yeah. And the bakery numbers are good. The restaurant numbers are good.
That's great.
Yeah.
Are you open at all inside, or is it all outdoor dining?
One of them, the restaurants opened Memorial Day. Both restaurants opened Memorial Day, and we're at 33% capacity.
Okay.
So 10 feet apart for the chairs, and then guests have to be 6 feet apart. I don't see that that's going to change anytime soon because we're getting we had 300 new cases of COVID today, but they're doing a lot of testing. They're doing a lot of testing. So, and then I'm downtown right now at the new bakery. The other bakery, we opened the day after Memorial Day, and we allow 3 people in at a time. They come in one door, they leave another, and it's just been working really smooth. People have been nice.
Oh, good.
We haven't had the bad problems. It's been good.
That's good.
Yeah, my numbers are the same as last year at this point.
Wow.
Which is, yeah. And we've lost all the wedding income, so, or the most of it. So we're picking it up through Casseroles. Casseroles. I see Brian Buskin on here.
Right. I'll unmute everybody for, the first start of this. So everybody, your lines are unmuted. No, apparently they're not. Sorry, that button didn't work at all. You think I'd get this by now? What's this, like our 10th one? Nope, still nothing? Huh. You would think the unmute all button would work. Yep. All right, I'm just
Okay, looks like Sophie just unmuted.
Okay. And I think Brian is already unmuted, and I think Marissa, you are also unmuted, so.
But
we don't get to see Brian or Sophie's faces. What's up with that?
You don't want to see me. I've been home all day.
Can't figure this out.
Worrying about my store getting vandalized.
I have a slow connection.
Okay. Sophie, where's your bakery at?
I'll show you guys. Oh, I'll show myself. I'm not embarrassed. Hi, here I
am. We're all family here.
We're in kind of in the city of Chicago. So far we've been fortunate. We haven't gotten vandalized, but there's a protest that started now that's going to go in front of our store. So.
Oh boy.
Well, fingers crossed.
We're praying for you.
Sophie, when we were in Atlanta at the end of February, early March, who would have thought?
I know. And I thought when Rick was saying all this crazy pandemic, I said, oh, he's just talking. It's not going to get that.
Right. My friend that was with me and I stayed a couple of days later after the RPIA meeting, and went to Atlanta Market because I thought, oh, this is a great time for us to start introducing merchandise.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then when we flew home March 3rd or 4th, I don't remember which day, we saw one mask in the Atlanta airport, and that was it, one. And I'm telling you, I wouldn't get on a plane right now. There's just not a chance.
Yeah.
Not a chance.
Crazy.
Brian, are you going to show us your face? Or are you still too slow?
Brian, I did it. It's your
My weird. It says launching on my screen, and then it keeps saying my internet connection is unstable.
Ah.
So trying to switch networks here. See if I can figure it out.
Well, at least it's not saying you're unstable.
Which I am.
How's that? No.
That was a good trip to Atlanta.
It was good.
It was good. It was great.
Hopefully Pittsburgh will happen.
What bakeries did you visit when you were in Atlanta?
Henri's.
All sorts.
Yeah, we traveled a lot. We took a bus one day to South Carolina, to Stroessner's. Who else did we see in South Carolina? Stroessner's has changed a lot. I've been following them for years. And so the son now owns it. Is it the son or the grandson? Sophie, were you on the Stroessner's trip?
Yeah,
you were.
I think it was the son. I think it's the son.
Yeah, that was the son, Jamie.
Yeah. And so, oh, look at Wendy Shea. Hi, Wendy. Are you Wendy from Little Rock? Do you know Wendy? She's connecting. She's a culinary instructor at our local culinary.
Oh, very good.
Come in.
We have a few people. It looks like they're trying to get on. I don't know if it's something with Zoom right now.
That was just
but it looks like there's a couple just trying to join, and I'm not sure what's happening. So we'll give it just a few more minutes.
I was going to ask you.
Okay, Zoom had an update that had to be downloaded May 30th, so that could
really?
be. Yeah.
Maybe that's what it is.
I couldn't find it anywhere.
Can you unmute Wendy?
Yeah.
That's got to be. That's got to be Little Rock, Wendy.
I'm going to mute Brian just for a second there.
Hey, Patti.
Okay. Hey, Wendy, is that you?
Awesome.
That's me.
Hey.
Which one do they keep it in?
How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I could ask the bakers if you want me to.
Good. Why aren't we seeing your face?
I'm having trouble with my video.
No, I don't have
trying to get it to work, but
I can wait until
I couldn't get it to work earlier either. But maybe it'll kick on a little bit.
Okay. For y'all that don't know Wendy, she's a pastry instructor at our culinary school here. And I took a croissant class from her a couple of years ago, right, Wendy? Before we bought our reversible sheeter. Yeah. So she has she does at Farmers Market. Now, Wendy, do you operate under cottage laws, or do you work out of the culinary school?
No, I'm at college law.
Your cottage law, okay.
I'm home. I'm just doing the baked goods. Right now, we're just solely doing croissants, and I'm drowning in croissants weekly. We're doing pickups since the markets are closed. We do a designated pickup each week. But we've got plans for a food truck to come, so we'll be expanding our menu and doing more savory stuff once we have that production space.
So her business is called the Croissanterie, and she does beautiful work if you want to look her up.
Very
Thanks,
cool. Patti, I think we can get started. There's still just a couple. It says they're launching or they're trying to get in, but I don't want to keep everyone too long. It's already about 10 after. So I'm going to pass it right to you, our fearless leader. Patti.
Okay, so let's see. We have Lynn Sherman on here as well, and then Wilson's Bakery.
I'm trying to unmute. None of my stuff on this end is working. So if we can introduce ourselves, that'd be great. You're just going to have to unmute yourself.
Okay.
Sorry.
So Bernadette, you want to start, and then we'll just kind of go around?
Sure. So I am Bernadette Shanahan-Haas. I'm the Director of Operations for the Retail Bakers of America. And we're always excited to be doing these town hall meetings. Now we sort of started having them every other week, which has worked out really well. And we are happy to have Patti doing her casseroles.
Yay! Okay, you want to call on people, Bernadette,
Sure,
based on your screen?
For sure. So Marissa, why don't you go ahead?
Hi, I'm Marissa, and I'm the certification coordinator at the Retail Bakers of America. So as you're involved with RBA, if you have any questions about certification, becoming a CMB or a CB, I am your gal.
Thank you, Marissa. Sophie?
Hi, I'm Sophie Ivanoff with Vinny Patisserie. We're based in Chicago. We have 2 locations currently. One is closed because it's in a train station, and we are still in the middle of protests. So we're closed right now too. So we're hoping that no vandalism happens this week.
Did you board up your windows, Sophie?
We did not. We put Black Lives Matter, Hope, things like that. We took everything out of our windows. I mean, that's a joke. The looters don't want cake. Let's be real. That's not what they're after. So, and where we're at, like, we're further down from the retail corridor, so we're hoping that we're in a safe spot. And so far, it's been good. Knock on wood.
So when we were in Chicago for the RBA meeting, which bakery did we go to? The one that you're...
The main one, yeah. The main one.
Okay. Yeah, it's a really neat spot for those that haven't been there.
Thank you.
Okay.
Wilson's Bakery. We can see you.
Yeah, I'm Lawrence, operations manager at Wilson's Bakery, and we're in Warner Robins, Georgia, and we just here to kind of see what you guys are talking about and see what we can do, expand the business.
Great, thank you. Brian? Brian is on mute. I'm going to try and unmute. Unfortunately, none of my buttons are working right now. I'm not quite sure why. So, Brian, if you can unmute yourself and say hi to everybody. Or we could come back to Brian and we'll go to Wendy. Wendy, can you unmute yourself and say hi?
Hi guys, again, I'm Wendy. I'm work here in Arkansas in Little Rock. I'm an instructor at the culinary school, and I have my little croissant business on the side. I saw that Patti was hosting this and wanted to jump on and see what we can do.
Great, thank you. And then Lynn.
Hi, this is Lynn Sherman, and you're not seeing me because I'm at work, and my work computer is not as good as my laptop, so it doesn't have a camera on it. So won't get to see me, and I'm actually using my phone so you can hear me. We have a bakery in Cold Spring, Minnesota. We're 40% retail with 2 retail locations and 60% wholesale with 5 trucks that deliver mostly to grocery stores. And also the education director for RBA. So I am always looking for information that we can pass on and use to help the rest of our members to get educated about the different issues involved in what we're doing now, running the bakeries, and also dealing with some of the crises that are around. I'm in Minnesota, but I'm far enough away from the protests going on in Minneapolis, but I do have one location that's in St. Cloud that we did have to close down early last week because there was rumors of something happening nearby us too.
Boy, like we need anything else right now with COVID, but man, we could talk about that subject all day. Okay. So, hi everybody, I'm Patti Stobaugh. I have Patti Cakes Bakery in Conway, Arkansas. We have 2 bakeries and 2 restaurants. The restaurants, our oldest restaurant is celebrating its 40th year this year. And then Patti Cakes is 14 this year. I did, this is my encore career. I was an accountant. Oh, I can't even hardly say the word. I hated it so bad. So I was a corporate accountant for 25 years. And when our youngest son left for college, then I opened a bakery. So COVID hit. And that is, I say this phrase all the time to my employees: what's going to happen if you get hit by a bus? Just trying to keep everybody cross-trained. Well, COVID was the bus. And we found ourselves not as cross-trained as we thought we were, especially in our production. area. I mean, we have a commercial kitchen that has a small bakery that we just opened in October. And then we have our other bakery that's behind our busiest restaurant that's about a mile away. But luckily, fortunately, when I was opening Patti Cakes in Conway, we have 3 colleges in town, and the largest one, the university in town, they wanted to use their business instructor, one of their business instructors wanted to use the bakery as a marketing study for his class. And so he came, it was before we opened, he saw my plans, what my menus were, blah, blah, blah. And his class determined that we would never make it because, and this was 10 years ago that we opened that location. We opened our first location 14 years ago next to our other restaurant. So, and that's about 45 minutes away from here. But at any rate, Dr. Bradley presented to me that we would never make it because people did not want to eat sweets that much anymore. Well, my husband and Dr. Bradley were long, long friends, used to be neighbors. And I remember I was so mad, but my husband really respected Dr. Bradley. So I put on my thinking cap and I thought, well, we're just going to try to have a multi-legged stool here when we look at the restaurant and have that many cogs or that many different categories. And so we decided to add savory items. And so what we did is, and I will say, I'm cut to the chase, the casserole sales have saved our bacon in the early days of COVID. But so this is the size of casserole that we do. It's a 5x7. I buy these containers from Webstront. And then we also do a 9x13. This is just a half sheet pan that I buy at Sam's because they're cheaper than anywhere else. And those have a foil lid that go on top. And I buy blank labels that are pre-printed. Let me hold it up here so you can see. They're 6 to a sheet. These come from Uline, and they print them for me just in my color with the logos on it. And this is what they look like then. There's enough room on there to put all of the ingredients and the cooking instructions. And so that's just a sheet of 6. Uline, I don't use Uline for a lot of things, but this is the best price I could find on labels. And then we just print them on our printer. Of course you could, depending on your volume, have them pre-printed elsewhere, but I do kind of like that we can, if we decide, you guys know how it is, especially when you're developing recipes and you think, oh, okay, I've got all the information down there, and then somebody else tries to make it, and you're like, oh yeah, but you left this step out. So I like the freedom of printing our own labels. There's nothing really very magic about what we do. This lid is foil on one side and then paper on the other. We put the foil side down, and I don't know if it's supposed to be that way in every circumstance, but because I think the foil would be, if you had the foil side up and weren't baking with the lid on, it would stay a lot nicer looking if they get stacked in your freezer or in your refrigerated cooler, whichever way you're doing it. But anyhow, all of our casseroles, we bake with the lid on. So we do it that way. So the casseroles that we do, I wrote these down so I would not forget, a sausage ziti, and I'll be glad to send any of my recipes if anybody wants them. That is a kielbasa sausage that we put in that, a Mexican chicken, manicotti, and that is a vegetarian one, a chicken Milano, a chicken broccoli and rice, a green chili chicken. We do a lot of chicken here. Beef lasagna, chicken pot pie, which is our best selling, and then a poppy seed chicken. So when we initially started, I was buying chickens, and we were just chicken breasts, and we were boiling them and then chopping them up. And I started getting nervous about having the chicken juice going everywhere, chicken germs, whatever. So we started purchasing chicken from Cisco. It's a Cisco brand. It's 1/2-inch cubes, white meat, frozen. And the price is incredibly good on it. There's some of them that I like to soak the chicken in a little bit of broth when I'm using it for certain recipes, but none of our casseroles that we're doing right now. We're in the process of adding some more that are higher in protein. But with the meat supply being what it is, and I don't know how much you guys have been following that if you don't do any savory items in your bakery right now, but the meat prices are they're exorbitant. So we're kind of holding off from adding like our meatloaf and we have a jambalaya bake that's coming that has shrimp and chicken in it. We're still doing that one. But anything with beef, we're just kind of holding back right now. So our process is we have adequate freezer space that we're able to make these, fill up a sheet pan, put it in our walk-in freezer, let it get good and frozen, and then you can stack them. And we sell them at our restaurant that's 45 minutes away from here. They started doing them when COVID hit because their sales plummeted. Both of our restaurants have drive-in windows, which is kind of odd for the type of restaurant it is, but it was just something my husband did 40 years ago. And so the drive-in windows have really helped us. Neither bakery has a drive-in window, but we do curbside. We've always done curbside pickup. It's never been very popular. Now it is, so that's a big help. What we promote these for is what we were promoting them for before COVID was if somebody had a baby, a death in the family, somebody had been sick, had somebody in the hospital, whatever, just, you can pick up 3 or 4. Our price point on this size is $9.99, and I'm making a good profit on it. My food costs are definitely in line. This size, except for the chicken pot pie, it's $11.99 for the small one. This size is $24.99 for everything except chicken pot pie, and the chicken pot pie is $31 or $30.99, however you want to say it. We use fairly simple ingredients. We're not doing anything so odd because we're primarily a scratch bakery, but we're not doing anything where it's very laborious. It's more of just a mix. Not using a mix, but mixing everything up, putting it in there. Your chicken's already cooked. We do have to cook off the beef. And we just do that in one of our smaller steam kettles. But the chicken's already cooked, so it's just a matter of mixing it, putting them in there. And it's so simple. It is, a monkey could do it, seriously. It's that simple. And that's when we first developed it, that's what we went for. I feel like we're at the point now that we need to add some more casseroles. Casseroles kind of infer comfort food, but with the whole protein thing, I really wanted to try to get to where we were attracting some people that were maybe counting macros or were being a little bit more conscious about what they were eating rather than just having a casserole every night for dinner. One thing that we've heard from a lot of our customers is they like the fact that this is something they take home and bake because then their house smells good. So from there, we took the idea when COVID hit that we would take our cinnamon rolls and put them in 4 of them in an 8x8 aluminum pan, or 6 of them in the 9x12, the thin aluminum pans. You guys know what I'm talking about. They have the dome lids, the clear dome lids. So we have instructions on there about, put it in your refrigerator, pull it out of your freezer, put it in your refrigerator, let it thaw out overnight, proof it for a little while, and it comes with a tub of icing. And I know that's not really a casserole, but my goodness gracious, my arms are so sore from rolling cinnamon rolls. We have sold a gajillion of them. I've never considered selling our cinnamon rolls frozen before. Our process is we make them most every day, and then roll them out, put them in pans, freeze them, and because we use them at both of our restaurants, and we sell them at both bakeries as well. So that makes me think, okay, what else can we do that people can cook or bake at home, and still get the wonderful odors in their house from cooking. My husband likens it to when, in reading about when Betty Crocker first came about and cake mixes. When cake mixes first came out, they were not popular at all because all they were doing was adding water, and it made people feel guilty that the housewife had so much leisure time now because she was just opening a box and stirring it up, and that they were not selling. So then they pulled back and said, okay, well, you have to add an egg and water, egg and milk, whatever it is for the cake mix. And then box cake mixes took off like crazy. I don't know if you guys know the history of that or not, but we're trying to kind of tap into that same thinking so that people don't feel like they're not feeding their kids fast food, number one. So that helps to alleviate the mom guilt a little bit. And then they have the nice smell in their home while it's baking. So that is our casserole thing in a nutshell. And I'll be glad to answer any questions, any pitfalls that we've had. We test recipes. Like, you think about like spaghetti and meatballs. Maybe you guys make a wonderful meatball and you want to put it in some red sauce and sell spaghetti and meatballs. That just does not sell for us very well. So initially we were doing it almost like a baked spaghetti. And then that wasn't selling. So then we took in a quart container, you know, those quart deli containers that are kind of opaque with the plastic lid. We would put the meatballs and sauce in one, and then cook, and then have pasta that was a little bit firmer than al dente. We would put it in the hot water, cook it, pull it out, shock it, and then put it on a sheet pan, let it cool, and then put that in a quart container to where all people had to do when they got home with it is just drop it in a pot of boiling water for like less than a minute. And then it would be fully cooked, and then they could, heat up their meatballs and sauce. And it just never sold, even though it was really good. Homemade meatballs, hand rolled. I mean, they were really good. But I don't know if that was just too simple, or if people thought, oh, I can do that at home easier. So that's the only thing. If it's something that people can do at home super simple, then we have found it doesn't work very well for us. One casserole that we took off is chicken tetrazzini. I don't know why. It might be our market. I don't know, but it was just one that did not sell very well. The ones that we have now are our best sellers. And I will say before COVID, we were probably selling 100 casseroles a week, maybe. And now it's, depending on the week, between 500 and 600 a week. And those sales have been holding pretty steady. So that's all I have.
I am going to try again to unmute everybody's line. If you'd like, though, you may want to unmute yourself because it is not working. Patti, you had mentioned your margins for those. So can you just tell us a little bit about that? So if somebody is trying to start that, what can they expect as far as, ingredient fees and even the pans and all that good stuff to what that margin really is?
Okay. So
percentage wise.
Yeah. In the restaurant, in the bakeries, I try to hold my food cost at 25% because our labor is a little bit higher. In the restaurant, you have to hold your food cost at about 33, 34%, or it's not going to be a profitable item for you. So, and then you just triple, from our food costs, we triple the cost. Some of our casseroles are a little bit less expensive to make. Some are just a tiny bit more, but I'm able to, kind of like I do my cookies. My cookies are priced all the same, even though sugar cookies cost hardly anything compared to like a cranberry white chocolate walnut. but I price them all the same, and that's the same way with the casserole. The chicken pot pie, we went up on that price because we sell so many of them, and it is our most expensive casserole to make. And if a couple of things on the ingredients, pasta sheets. I don't know if you guys are aware of pasta sheets. They're pre-baked or pre-boiled, whatever you want to call it. We get them from Cisco, and in doing this size, that's it. The pasta sheets are this size. And then if you do the smaller one, then you just cut the sheets to fit in here. So you don't have to mess with boiling a bunch of noodles, which is what we did in the beginning before I learned out about the beautiful thing of pasta sheets. I'd never heard of them. You don't have all the little ruffles along the edges like you do with pasta noodle or lasagna noodles, but they're so easy to work with. And then if you're doing puff pastry, we roll out puff pastry really thin to use in our chicken pot pie for the bottom crust and the top crust. What other things that might you be making? We sell cheese dip is a big thing in the South, and we're known for our cheese dip at the restaurants. And so we bag a lot of tortilla chips and then invariably have crumbles left over at the bottom. So the restaurants save all their crumbles for me, and that's what we use like in our Mexican chicken as the base tortilla layer. So I have no cost where that's concerned. Everything else is just kind of, you know, purchase from your food purveyor and slap it together. We do quiche as well. We do frozen quiche as well. We don't par bake our crust. We just put it all together, freeze it, and then wrap it in cellophane, put it in a 10 by 10 by 2.5 inch box and put it in the freezer once it's frozen so they can stack up there. So I guess that's another savory item.
And at times, do people come in just for one? Do they come in for a couple of weeks? Like how do they, like, how do you market it? Is it just a one and done, or are you saying like, come get your 5 meals for your family, which would be way healthier than how my family eats?
So we've done it both ways, and we really don't even market them anymore, hardly at all. I mean, when COVID hit, we ran our social media gal did some stuff on Instagram. We baked some off so that she could have some good pictures of them. She did some stuff on Instagram and Facebook, but that was it. I think that was just a one-time thing. Most people that come in they're coming in to pick up several because they're so easy just to keep in the freezer for when they don't feel like cooking, or, you know, it's a crazy night or whatever. You know, during COVID, a lot of people just didn't want to go to the grocery store, which I get. And so I think that's part of why they sold so well, even with curbside pickup at the grocery stores. I think that was a lot of why we sold so many of them. So I really think, my theory, I probably hate to say this out loud, but when somebody comes in the door, I want to shake all the money out of their pockets that I can. And so if they're coming in to get a pie or some lemon bars or whatever, then they see our casseroles and it's like, oh, yeah, okay, well, I'll get a few of these and keep them in my freezer. Rarely do we have people come in and just buy one. It's very rare.
I will open it up now for all questions, but you will have to unmute yourself. Sorry, again, not sure why my thing isn't working, but if you can unmute yourself or give me a wave of a hand and I can try and unmute you and we can do some more questions.
I have a question. Patti, do you do any breakfast casseroles or anything as well?
We do. I'm glad you mentioned that because I forgot all about it. Hang on one second. Did you have an invoice for me? Okay. Hey guys, I know this is really unprofessional. I just had a dock built and I need to write this guy a check. So I'm going to answer your question, Sophie. I'm sorry. Can I take a 5-second break? Talk among yourselves, please.
Is anybody on the call doing any casseroles right now, or is it something that you're thinking about? I wish I could unmute you all. I'm sorry, I can't.
We don't do casseroles, but we started doing a lot more take and bakes when COVID hit, and same thing. It's been like crazy. Just frozen croissants, frozen cinnamon rolls, frozen
Hello.
dough. Oh, Brian.
Hi, Brian.
Brian, you're on there finally.
Hi. I figured it out. Like my name tag.
I'm gonna mute this one. Okay. What kind of take and bake, Sophie, are you all doing?
Just frozen croissants, chocolate croissants, cookie dough, and then we have cinnamon rolls. And then for Easter, we did some strudels because we had a lot of puff pastry to use up. So we did 3 different types of brunch strudel. And then I think for the summer, same thing. I'm going to do a berry strudel with a pint of frozen custard, like bake at home. And then I was interested in trying to get more stuff because even though the city's opening up, people will still want to bake and easy stuff at home, especially in the city. Nobody cooks here.
So how do you package your strudel, Sophie? I love
I don't know the measurements. When I go to the shop, I could send you photos. It's maybe like 8 or 9 inches.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so it's like a half sheet of puff pastry. We fill it, we fold it over and crimp the whole sides. And then we just put it on a board and then in a plastic bag and heat seal the bag and then it goes in a box. It's probably not, it's not the right box for that, but it's the box we have on hand. So, I didn't want to order special boxes for it. But it's it's pretty easy. I don't know if I have photos. I'll send you photos, Patty.
Okay, so are you brushing the top of it with anything? Egg wash?
They're brushing it with an egg wash.
Okay. What is Brian doing?
I've got my computer running the call and my phone, so I'm getting a huge echo.
Oh,
So
got
Patty, maybe you could just start your presentation all over. That'd be great. Thank you.
I'm sure you heard this all while we were in Atlanta, Brian. You're fine.
I was.
Okay,
Lawrence, I'm going to come to you. I know you had a question too. I'm sorry I can't unmute your line. So if you can unmute from Wilson, there you go. Perfect.
Yeah, I got it. I wanted to circle back to the quiche because I wanted to make sure I heard. Are you baking the quiche before you freeze it, or were you just putting the filling and the quiche, the egg mixture in there and then freezing it and letting them bake it at home?
We are doing the latter. We're just putting it all together and freezing it, and then they bake it at home. But we have found that once we get it frozen, then we wrap it in saran wrap. I don't have like a vacuum sealer, which would be, that would be kind of cool, but I just don't have one. So I found that if we didn't wrap it well with saran wrap, that it started drying out a little bit. Even though it was in a box, it was drying out. And then I suggest on the instructions that they loosely cover it with foil because they can take it from frozen, put it right in the oven, loosely cover it with foil until it's just really basically cooked through. I give them a temp to cook it to, and then pull the foil off and let it brown up on the top. And that helps that steam that's in between the quiche and the foil helps that to thaw out and bake well.
Okay. Yeah, we don't do, at Wilson's, we don't do any casseroles at all now, but it's part of our long-term plans. But I've worked places before and we've done the quiche and we've always baked them off and then people take them home. But I always worry about people overcooking them when they heat them back up because, nothing worse than overcooked quiche.
Yeah, it gets so rubbery, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Question, do you have any special packaging that you put this in so that they stay frozen when your customer picks them up until they get them home, especially coming into the warmest part of the year now?
So, Lynn, I'm in a small town. It's only a population of 60,000 people. But we have a lot of people that drive from surrounding cities to come. So when we do have these cooler bags that have our logo on them, And I keep all my little freezer packs that come in with, with different product. And we can sell people a bag if they don't have one. But being in the South, and Wendy can attest to this, being in the heat of Arkansas in the summertime, most people carry an insulated bag in their car, like for when they're going to the grocery or going to Sam's, because you cannot pick up ice cream and put it in your car with a regular bag. I mean, it's not going to happen. Popsicles, that sort of thing, you just can't. So most people come prepared for that. If people don't want to buy an insulated bag, and we just sell them for what they cost us, like $5. But if they don't want to do that, then we will. We have some plastic bags that we use at the holidays for packing our orders up, and we just throw a little bag of ice on top of it, and that keeps it just fine.
Okay.
Okay, back to my original question, please.
Hey, Sophie.
What do you do for breakfast casseroles?
Yes, okay. So our breakfast casseroles. So we sell, we take our leftover ciabatta, because we slice up ciabatta to sell with our soups. And that's another thing we do is our soups that we make, we will put them in a quart container and sell those as well in the freezer. Usually what we'll do is we'll make soup today, and then in 2 days, if all of that batch hasn't sold, then we'll put it in the quart container and stick it in the freezer. But we slice up ciabatta ahead of time just to help us during the rush. And whatever ciabatta we, after it's a day old, then we just set it aside, and we'll toast that off in the oven. And by toasting, I mean just, baking it off to get it crispy. That's what we use as our base for breakfast casseroles. We do them in this pan only. And I don't know, do you make any, do you ever make breakfast casserole just like for yourself? Okay. So this may be a Southern thing again, I don't know, but there you can get on whatever, all recipes, whatever, just Google breakfast casseroles. And so the idea is you have your layer of bread, and you can use whatever's left over, and then your meat on top of that needs to be cooked, whether it's bacon or crumbled up sausage or chopped up ham, whatever you want. So it's the bread and the bacon. And then if you want to put any vegetables, I like to put mushrooms in it and some green onions and mix that with the meat. And then put cheese down, and just depends on whatever cheese. I mean, we try to keep our waste really super low, which is how we've come up with a lot of the products that we have. And so we'll take that, like if we're at the end of some cheddar cheese and throw it in with some Swiss, whatever, it doesn't matter. Cover that with cheese, and then you mix up in this size pan. I do 9 eggs and 2 cups of milk, I had to think, and a tablespoon of dry mustard, and then salt and pepper. And you pour that over it, and you can just freeze it, and people can take it home and bake it. It's best if you let it set overnight before you freeze it, so that everything can soak down into the bread. But you don't have to if you don't have room or don't have time. It's not that big of a difference. And then
how big are your batches? Do you mix this in a mixer?
When we're doing the breakfast casseroles?
Yeah, your fillings.
Okay. So it just, honestly, it depends on what we have left over when we're making it. Most of the time, yes, a mixer. But sometimes we just like for an example, our ham and cheese croissants and our bacon and cheese croissants, we take the day olds and we cut them up, put them in pan like this, and then I use 8 eggs for that and only 1 cup of milk, and just pour it over it with a little bit of salt and pepper. I don't put the dry mustard in that. And those typically are smaller batches because we don't have that many left over. We'll save them for a few days and then them up, and that's a good way to not have any waste on our savory croissants. Oh, I put spinach in it too, some fresh spinach.
Okay.
Did I answer the question, Brian?
Yeah. Do you do breakfast sandwiches, or does anybody?
We do at our restaurants. We're not at the bakery right now.
Okay.
Anything else?
Do you use like a Mary Chef or a Turbo Chef?
I have a Mary Chef. I just bought a Mary Chef. We had Turbo Chefs before our fire, and I don't know if it was the model that we had, but we weren't that crazy about them. So I just bought a Mary Chef. I've used it one time. And we're not, when we reopen this location, the lobby, then we'll be firing it up.
Okay. If not, we'll buy it.
If not, you'll buy it. I mainly wanted it for doing French onion soup and then toasting some sandwiches.
Okay.
But do you have one? Do you have a Mary Chef?
No, they're not cheap, and they're impossible to find used. So I'm stuck.
Yeah, they are impossible to find used. I had to buy a brand new one. I don't like to buy brand new of anything.
Mm-hmm.
Except refrigeration.
We thought you were going to be in your costume today, Patti.
I didn't wear my costume today. Sorry.
Maybe for the next call.
Right. Brian, does Buskins do breakfast sandwiches like savory at all, or is it all?
Way back in the 70s and 80s, we had breakfast and lunch restaurants, and we did a lot of food. We've gotten completely out of that, but I want to start bringing back some hot food, because all of the successful, retail bakers around the country seem to have a hot food element. Serrano's Bakery, Oakmont Bakery up in Pittsburgh. He told me the other day he's doing $5,000 a day just out of their cafe portion of their bakery.
Good for them.
And he just started by doing really simple breakfast sandwiches. It's all to go. He doesn't have any sit down service. It's a lot of bagel sandwiches. But I really want to get back into that, because I think we need that revenue to be successful throughout the day. That's my opinion on getting back into hot food. And so I just wanted to start with a very simple breakfast sandwich and kind of grow from there.
You guys do scratch biscuits, Brian?
No, we don't. We do not.
Yeah, one of our restaurants does, and one of them doesn't, which is just odd to me. But the one in Conway, the one that I'm closest to, they use a Pillsbury frozen. Mm-hmm. Our restaurant that's 45 minutes away, they make their own using the white lily flour recipe, and mm-hmm. they're super good. There again, they have a lot of biscuits left over at the end of the day, and they make great breakfast sandwiches. I don't know why I haven't been having them save them for me to do that, but that's the plan.
Yeah.
Definitely. And then, do you guys anybody ever go to Panera's?
Yes.
There's a friend of mine here that she has a floral shop. So yeah, I was just on the phone with her earlier. But so Panera has the little, and it's a little container that you buy from. It's a take and bake thing. Well, you bake in it. You don't take it, bake it. It's like a little souffle, sort of. Are you guys familiar with that? It's a piece of puff pastry, and then it has fillings in the center. And the Nova Cart sells the dish. So. It's kind of brown and has like some
ruffled at the top.
Yeah, ruffled along the top. Yeah, so those make really good breakfast souffles. And I found a warmer. Where did I find that? I think from Central Restaurant. or either Webstront, one of the two. And it's a warmer that you can just sit those on because it's what Panera uses. And you can leave those out for a little while for people to grab and go, and they're still, still good and warm. That's something that we're going to start once we open back up too.
Cool. Can you put a cookie on there and keep it warm?
You can. I actually have a cookie warmer though. I bought an old Nestle. You remember those Nestle Toll House with the yellow top? Cookie warmers? Yeah, I bought one of those and pulled their decals out and had some made. So I have a cookie warmer.
Okay.
It goes over well, selling warm cookies.
Heck yeah.
And a little thing of milk, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we just have to shake all the money out of their pockets in any way, shape, or form. Just the theory. I see Marlene joined us. Hey, Marlene.
I had myself on mute. Hi there, how you doing?
Good, good. Does anybody else have any questions? Yes, Lawrence.
Yeah, I was wondering, when it comes to like your production schedule,
yes.
Is this something where you might make a little bit of every casserole every day, or do you do like poppy seed chicken on Monday and like one casserole a day, or like how do you do the production throughout the week? Are there certain casseroles?
So we make as big of a batch as we can at one time of one product, and then freeze it. And so we keep our walk-in freezer at the location where we have a big walk-in freezer here. We keep that full, and then our other bakery and restaurant, they come and pull from here. It's kind of like they just come over and go grocery shopping and pull what they need. So we monitor it from there. But we will not do less than like 100 of one casserole at a time.
Okay.
Did that answer your question?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it does. No, that's, like I said, this is something we're looking at doing, and I've been trying to kind of gauge how to balance that production. And I mean, I don't expect us to do 500 a week in the beginning, but
right.
Just trying to how do you just work that into the day, so to speak.
Yeah. So when we first started, of course, it was different. We did, we would just do smaller batches and do several at one time. But now I have a full-time person, and that's all they do. And then when COVID hit and trying to keep some of our employees from the restaurant employed, we brought another person over. So we had 2 full-time people doing nothing but casseroles, trying to keep everybody stocked up. And then they stocked the freezer completely to where we couldn't hold any more. And so now we're just kind of, watching it from there and restocking. Anybody else have a question?
About how much revenue would you say you're doing on your casseroles?
At the bakery, at the bakery that's behind, that's not the one that I'm at right now, but at the other bakery, it's anywhere from about 6,000 to 8,000 a week.
Nice.
Yeah.
So great.
Yeah, and then our restaurant that's about 45 minutes away, they're probably doing about 4,000 a week in casserole sales, and it's brand new for them. So they literally just started at the beginning of April. So, wow. And they're going to keep, they're still selling them. Part of their marketing, since guests can now come in at the limited capacity, part of the marketing is while you're here, are you thinking about dinner? And so,
and is it merchandised in a frozen case or refrigerated case?
In a frozen case.
Okay.
Early on, I tried to do refrigerated, and I had a really hard time having my staff keeping them rotated. I went through a gajillion different kinds of containers because I was trying to be more ecologically smart about it. But those paper containers, the ones that are like real heavy duty paper that you can freeze in, bake in, refrigerate, whatever, they get soaked through really quick if you leave them in the fridge. If you leave these in the fridge and you stack them, the top will smash down. And then you get stuff coming out the sides. So, I mean, the aluminum is recyclable, so I feel better about that. But we did try several different things. We tried that really hard plastic that you can bake in. Did not like that at all. They cracked easily when they got frozen.
Okay.
Well, we are just about 3 o'clock, which these always seem to be the fastest hour because I think it's such good information for everybody. Patti, if you're okay, information with everybody on the call, and then if they have any questions or would like a few of those recipes, you can send that along to them.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. And are there any other questions before we head off? We're just about 5 minutes, so I don't want to cut anybody off, but if there aren't any other questions, on behalf of the Retail Bakers of America and Patti, thank you so much for sharing all your knowledge. You're a wealth of information when it comes to this sort of thing, and I think people appreciate that you're so open about sharing every detail of it. So thank you very much for doing that. And thanks I know a few people had to pop off because protests were coming by and not quite sure. I love the, which level of Jumanji are we on now? So I think that's what Chicago is going through right now. So, but just on behalf of everybody here at the RBA, thank you everyone for being on the call. And again, thank you, Patti, for taking the time to appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. See you later.
Thanks, Patti.
Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.